This is section 13 of the Odyssey. Odysseus the Beggar. But Odysseus had a powerful friend as well. Athena was determined to help him back to his rightful place. When she saw him asleep on the beach in Ithaca, she knew he was in danger. If the suitors found him on his own, they were sure to kill him. She had to keep him away from the palace until he figured out how to defeat them. As a start, she covered the beach with a magical mist. When Odysseus woke up, he didn't recognize the place. He thought the Phaeacians had tricked him and taken him somewhere else. "They've stranded me in a strange country," he muttered angrily, "and stolen all my treasure." But then he looked around and saw the treasure heaped up under the olive tree. So what had happened? Where was he? He was still wondering when Athena came sauntering onto the beach, disguised as a shepherd boy. She greeted him cheerfully. "Who are you?" she said. "What are you doing here?" Odysseus had no idea who this shepherd boy was, so he lied about his name and started telling a false story. Athena threw back her head and laughed. "Don't you know me? Don't you recognize your own land of Ithaca?" Waving her hand, she lifted the mist, and Odysseus realized who she was. He fell to his knees with a cry of joy. "Goddess, you have always been kind to me." "Now you need my help again," Athena said. "Your palace is full of men who want to marry your wife and kill your son. If you go there on your own, they will kill you too." "What should I do?" asked Odysseus. "Go and find Eumaeus, your swineherd," Athena said. "He will let you stay in his hut until I bring Telemachus to you, but it's best if Eumaeus doesn't know who you are." She reached out her stick and touched Odysseus on the shoulder. Immediately, his smooth skin creased into wrinkles. His thick, curly hair grew thin and straggling, and turned gray. The fine clothes King Alcinous had given him were transformed into a beggar's rags. Athena handed him a shabby knapsack and a rough wooden staff. "Off to the swineherd's hut," she said. "Wait there for Telemachus. He is away on a voyage, but I will fetch him home." As she sped off, Odysseus hid his treasure. Then he trudged up the rough track to Eumaeus's hut. The swineherd was sitting outside with his dogs. When they saw Odysseus, they flew at him, barking wildly, and they would have attacked him if Eumaeus hadn't called them off. "You're lucky I was here," he said. "Come into my hut and recover, old man." He gave Odysseus bread to eat while he prepared a meal. "It won't be much," he said ruefully. "All the best pigs go to those greedy suitors in the palace. Now that my master's dead and gone, they spend the whole day feasting there and guzzling his wine." "Is your master really dead?" Odysseus said carefully. "Who was he?" "He's probably a skeleton by now." Eumaeus shook his head sadly. "He went off to the war in Troy 20 years ago, and he never came back. Oh, my noble master, how I miss him." "Tell me his name," Odysseus said. "I fought in that war too. I might be able to give you some news." "I know what kind of news," Eumaeus said bitterly. "Every beggar who comes here has some tall tale to tell Penelope, my mistress. She's so desperate for news of her husband that she listens to them all, and then she showers them with gifts, which is what they were after, of course. I'd like to hear the story of your adventures, stranger, but no lies about Odysseus." Odysseus found it hard not to say who he was, but he obeyed Athena's instructions. He invented a story about travels in Egypt, and then Eumaeus made up a bed beside the fire. So Odysseus spent his first night back in Ithaca in a swineherd's hut, with Eumaeus's old cloak over him to keep out the cold. Meanwhile, Athena was speeding toward Sparta to bring Telemachus home. When she arrived there, she appeared to him in a vision. "Why are you still in Sparta, Telemachus?" she said. "You've left your mother unguarded, and your treasures too, and now those evil suitors are plotting to kill you. They're going to ambush your ship as you sail past the island of Astris." "How can I escape?" said Telemachus. "Don't anchor at Astris for the night," Athena told him. "Travel on through the dark until you reach Ithaca, but don't stay on your ship while it sails into the harbor. Get your sailors to drop you off before that, at the first headland. Then go straight to Eumaeus's hut. You can trust him." Telemachus was wide awake now and anxious to go home. As soon as it was morning, he said goodbye to Menelaus and Helen, and they sent him on his way with many treasures. He was about to leave when a great eagle came flying across the sky, carrying a fat goose from someone's farmyard. "That's a sign from the gods," cried Helen joyfully. "As that eagle came down from the mountains and pounced on the fat goose, so Odysseus will return and swoop down on the wicked suitors who are fattening themselves in your palace." "Oh, may that be true," Telemachus said fervently. He said farewell and set off as fast as he could, ordering his ship to put to sea immediately. Athena gave them a following wind, and they sailed steadily until sunset. As night fell, the island of Astris came into view, and the sailors looked at Telemachus, expecting orders to land. But Telemachus had not forgotten Athena's warning. "We sail on," he told the sailors. "There is no time to rest." Obediently, they kept a straight course, and Telemachus stared into the darkness, wondering what fate was in store for him. Would he reach home alive, or would he be caught by the evil suitors?